So if you're someone who's been crafting for a while and you're ready to dive a little deeper into laser cutting, but you don't want to be overwhelmed, the M1 Ultra might just be the perfect tool for you. This is one of the best machines out there to bridge the gap between the hobbyist and the advanced creator. I've always wanted to have a laser, but at the same time, I've always been really intimidated by them. They seriously seem just too complicated and way too technical for me to even get started. I've seen lots of different crafts and projects that other crafters have made using laser cutters, and I've looked them up online, and then I just get really overwhelmed. These huge machines that talk about ventilation, focusing mirrors, and software, and things that made it look like you need an engineering degree to make it work. And then I would just think, nope, this is not for me. But then I had that nagging voice in the back of my head going, think of all the cool things that you could make if you had a laser cutter. It just seemed that a laser cutting machine was just too much of a headache and not something I really wanted to pursue. But then I tried this. This is the Xtool M1 Ultra, and it completely changed my mind. This isn't just a laser, it's the easiest and most versatile crafting machine I have ever used. Now, if you've ever felt the same hesitation that I shared with you, that little voice telling you that laser crafting was out of reach, then this video is for you. Full disclosure, Xtool did send me this machine to review and share with you, but the projects and the opinions are 100% mine. I'm going to show you just how shockingly simple this machine is, from the moment that it comes out of the box to finishing a project for you. Now we're going to use both the laser and the blade cutter, and I'm going to prove why I genuinely believe that this is the perfect choice for any crafter who has ever felt intimidated by lasers but wants a powerful machine that will provide professional looking results without all of the stress. For me, this is the machine that finally made everything click. Now let's start with the part that I was dreading most, the setup. Ugh. I unboxed this thing expecting a multi-hour assembly nightmare with a million tiny screws and diagrams that looked like alien blueprints. I was so wrong. The M1 comes pretty much pre-assembled. It took me, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe 15 to 20 minutes to get it from the box to my craft table ready to be used. You pop out a few shipping screws, slide in the filter for the exhaust, and then there's just a few more things that you have to do for the setup, and then you get to the modules. And this is one of the first things that blew me away. The M1 Ultra uses a brilliant quick swap module system, whether you need a laser, a blade cutter, or even an inkjet printer head. They just slide into a slot and click into place. You flip a little lever to lock it in, and that's it. You're done. No wires, no complicated calibration systems. It just works. Then there's the software, Xtool Creative Space. I downloaded it and it connected to my machine almost instantly. Now for anyone that's ever opened up design software and your brain just automatically shuts down, this is a breath of fresh air. The interface is clean, simple, and incredibly intuitive. You've got your basic tools on the left. You can add an image, you can add some text or a shape, and all of your material settings are on the right-hand side. It isn't trying to be some massive graphic design suite, and honestly, I think that's probably one of its greatest strengths. It has everything that a beginner needs, and it's very easy to import PNG and even SVG files that you might already have created, so that way you can bring in all of your projects that are on your computer into Creative Space. But the absolute best part for a beginner is the huge library of preset material settings. You don't have to guess at which power or speed you're going to be using. You just tell the software, hey, I'm going to be using 3mm basswood plywood from Xtool. You pick it from the drop-down menu and it handles the rest. It removes all of the guesswork and technical anxiety from the equation. The focus on ease of use is one of the many reasons the M1 Ultra is such an incredible machine. All right, now for the magic, I want to show you the machine in use. So I'm going to be taking a Dollar Tree cutting board and I'm going to open up an SVG file that I have imported into Creative Space, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to engrave onto something such as this Dollar Tree bamboo cutting board. So first I'm going to start out by finding something that I want to engrave. So I'm going to go to Create a Fabrica, and I'm going to find something that would look cool on a cutting board. There are a lot of different files that they have that you can use for all sorts of projects, but I found this one and it's meant for ornaments, but I think I can use this for my cutting board. So I'm going to go ahead and download that to my computer, save it on my computer. Then I'm going to open up the file that I want. And this one is the one I want, Merry and Bright. So I'm going to save that as an SVG. Then I'm going to go into Xtool Creative Space and I'm going to bring that image in. So I love Creative Space. This is so much fun to work with, so much easier than some of the other programs that I've worked with. So all of the tools to edit are on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go over to the plus sign and then I can import the file that I want to use for my cutting board. I'm going to open the file and then presto, I've got the file on my workspace. So now what I'm going to do is change the material. I'm going to be using a bamboo cutting board. So I'm going to go ahead and find a bamboo cutting board and I'm going to put that into my material that I'm going to be using. I'm going to apply it. And then of course I get the, hey, this is flammable warning. So this is the file that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to engrave this onto a cutting board. Now the Xtool programmer will give you basically an overview of what this will look like on your project. Then you can tweak the settings if you feel like it over in the right-hand side. So I'm first tweaking the power and then I'm going to tweak the speed just a bit. And you can even preview it to see what this might potentially look like on your project. Now I do want to save this. And I'm going to rename it Merry and Bright Cutting Board. That way I know this is what I'm going to be using when I'm actually creating the project. And then I can go over to my space and it will show me all of the different files that I have saved. I'm also going to be doing some tags for some stockings. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-fill out that information as well. I'm going to use basswood. And I'm going to be cutting out each of these names as well as the tags. And I do like to tweak the power and the speed just a little bit because this is what I have found works best for me and for my process. So here's my Dollar Tree bamboo cutting board. This is one of the larger ones, the new and improved larger size. So of course I'm going to go ahead and remove that outer packaging. And then I'll put the cutting board into the M1 Ultra. And I am going to go ahead and clamp down the cutting board. Then I'm going to work through the process. So I have my laptop hooked up to my M1 Ultra, and I'm just going to go through the steps and the process of putting the Merry and Bright onto the cutting board. And Xtool has made this very beginner friendly. There's not really any fancy steps you have to walk through. It will walk you through the complete process. And making a project like this, an engraved cutting board, is actually a really good first project if you're going to be working with the M1 Ultra. So I am going to go ahead and resize the Merry and Bright so that it will fit onto my cutting board. And I'm also going to revisit the settings because I want to make sure that the image is deeply engraved into the board itself. And once I'm happy with how I have everything set up, then I'm just going to go through the prompts that the software is giving me while I'm working on the project. And then that's it. I just push the start button and the laser does all the hard work. I should mention that this is the speeded up process. It does take a little bit of time to engrave this image onto the cutting board. It did take about 21 minutes. Now this shows you both the fine detail of the engraving and the cutting power of the 20-watt diode laser. It is so perfect. The edges are nice and clean, the engraving is crisp, and it's so easy to do. You can do this on your very first project. Now I think this project proves the whole point of this video. The machine just gets out of your way and lets you create. Now for the Ultra part of the M1 Ultra. This machine isn't just a laser, it's a 4-in-1 craft machine. So not only are you getting the laser, you're also getting a blade cutter, a pen tool, and even an inkjet printer. So for the next project, I want to show you how easy it is to make custom vinyl decals. Now swapping from the laser to the blade is very simple. I unlocked the lever, lifted the laser module out, and then slide in the multifunction module into its place until it clicks. Then I just put in the fine point blade into the housing. I placed a sheet of adhesive vinyl on the sticky cutting mat that comes with the machine. In the software, the process is almost identical. I just import the SVG that I want to cut. But this time over on the right-hand panel, I switched from the laser flat to blade cut. And once again, the software is ready to go with a preset for adhesive vinyl. You don't have to mess around with the blade depth or pressure settings, you just click go. The machine is pretty quiet and precise as the blade goes across the vinyl, cutting through the top layer perfectly without slicing the backing paper. Weeding the extra vinyl away is totally simple, just like it is on any other project you would be doing with a different type of machine, and I was left with a professional quality decal ready to apply. Now this is the kind of versatility that makes this machine a game changer for crafters. You can go from making a wooden sign with the laser to cutting vinyl letters on the exact same machine, using the same software in just a few minutes. With this 4-in-1 crafting powerhouse, you don't need a separate Cricut or Silhouette taking up precious space. It's literally a craft studio in one box. Now for this project, I'm going to be using two different types of wood. I'm going to be using 3mm basswood for the names. And then I'm also going to be using this walnut 3mm wood. I got both of these on Amazon and they're beautiful pieces of wood for this project. I'm also using the honeycomb riser in the bottom of my M1 Ultra because this works really well for letting the air get through. I also do have air assist set up on my laser. I am going to use the little magnetic clips that were provided by Xtool to hold the wood in place. Now my M1 Ultra doesn't have the capability of the camera, so I do have to walk through a couple of steps to make sure that the software knows my cutting surface. So I'm going to go ahead and make this the rectangle shape, and that will show me in the software where my tags lay in correlation to the piece of wood that I have for my project. I did have to resize them just a hair. And then once I go through the safety prompts, then I can come over and hit the start button and the laser will get to work. And again, this is speeded up just to show you the process. So first I'm going to cut out the tags with the walnut wood. And again, this is 3mm wood. That size works really well for this laser. Look at how perfect that is. Much better than if I were to do it myself. So once I have all of the tags, then I'm going to use just the regular basswood, again 3mm, and I'm going to cut out the names. So again, I'm going to position the laser and just hit the button so that it knows what surface I'm working with. And then I can come back, resize all of the names. Make sure I have my material selected and the power and the speed of the laser. Then I just hit the start button and the laser will work. Now with the M1 Ultra, the lid does have to be down in order for the cutting process to work. And now I have all of the names for my stocking tags. So here are the tags. So what I'm going to do is use some B7000 to secure each of the letters to the tag. And I would highly recommend this adhesive, the B7000 or E6000 over hot glue. Hot glue, you're going to see all of the little pieces of glue, and I don't want to see that. I just want to have the names that are secured to each tag. I really do like the contrasting colors of the wood, but I love the raised lettering on top of the tag. I think that looks so pretty and just very professional. Now here's another project that I did for my daughter. I made a tiny bookcase and I found this pattern on Etsy. And what I like about buying pre-made patterns is you can customize them and size them to whatever you want them to be. And you can do different things in one process. So I was able to cut out the wood. I was able to score the wood and engrave it. Now all of the coloring I did do by hand. And the acrylic sheet that I'm using, I actually cut that out with scissors. I didn't do that part on the laser. These are just a few of the examples of things that you can create with the M1 Ultra. I love this machine so much. There's so many different projects that I've been able to create, and it just really levels up your crafting, and it is so much fun. Now, one thing I did want to touch on, which can be really confusing if you're a beginner and just getting into lasers. Have you heard of diode versus a CO2 laser? It sounds complicated, but this is what you really need to know. The M1 Ultra is a diode laser. Diode lasers are generally more affordable, smaller, and need way less maintenance, which makes them perfect for home crafters. They are fantastic at high precision engraving and cutting of thinner materials like wood, leather, and most colors of acrylic. CO2 lasers, which you find in bigger, more industrial machines, are more powerful. They cut through thicker materials faster, and they can also handle clear acrylic, which diode lasers can't. But they're also much larger, much more expensive, and require a lot more upkeep. For a beginner, the simplicity and safety of a diode laser is the perfect entry point into laser crafts or laser cutting. Now, the other headache is smoke, and this is one of the reasons why I was kind of reluctant to even have a laser cutter. And like I said, the M1 Ultra is fully enclosed, which is a great first step. It comes with an exhaust hose that you can vent out of a window, which is essential because an enclosure contains fumes, but you still need to get them out of your workplace safely. Xtool also offers a separate smoke purifier if a window isn't an option. And this is why I have my M1 Ultra in my garage. This is basically my workshop for all of my laser crafting. For me, it just makes more sense. I have an extension on the hose that takes it out of my garage, but you can still smell the smoke. I'm sure it would be different with the air purifier, but for me, my setup works just fine. Something else that might be really helpful is air assist. This is a separate accessory, but it makes a huge difference in your cuts. The air assist blows air right at the laser point to reduce charring and gives very clean cuts. While air assist is an add-on accessory, it really is helpful to get the best possible results. So after years of sitting on the sidelines, convinced that a laser just wasn't the right tool for me, the Xtool M1 Ultra didn't just meet my expectations, it completely blew them away. It feels like this machine was designed by crafters for crafters. Every single pain point has been addressed, from the setup, the software, and the settings. Everything works perfectly just out of the box. This is without a doubt the best laser I have ever used. When a total beginner can get these kind of results, you know that anyone can. The Xtool M1 Ultra strips away the technical barriers and lets you jump straight into the fun part, making things. It is so simple to use, you never feel lost. It's not just a tool, it's a creativity machine. So if you've put off getting a laser cutter because you thought it was just too complicated, I really hope this video showed you just how easy and accessible it can be. Let me know in the comments, what would you make first if you had a laser cutter? I'm really looking forward to hearing your ideas. And if you want to check out Xtool and the M1 Ultra and all of the other amazing cutting machines that they have, I'll have a link waiting for you down in the description box. Thanks so much for watching. Happy crafting!